Welcome once again to Top Talent, the most fun you could possibly have under quarantine. This is the podcast that originates from and celebrates upstate New York's capital region, featuring talent who either lives here or talent that's going to be coming to the area to perform, which is lately absolutely nobody because of what's going on. So I guess that gives a little bit of extra importance to podcasts because, it's a way of passing the time. I hate to say it. My name is Richie Phillips, a.k.a. Ryman Richie. I was a co-host of a radio show here in Albany for over almost 30 years. And now I'm basically doing this and trying to showcase talent. I'm also a song parodist, and I just wanted to quickly promote something before we get into this particular episode. I have a new one, a song parody about a certain doctor who's been taking a lot of heat for his advice during the pandemic. I'll leave it at that. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Richie Phillips, to hear it, and it's a little bit of a video that goes with it as well. And it's a little hard to put it on here when it's an audio podcast. So, continuing before I was rudely interrupted by myself, I not only showcase talent on this podcast, I showcase people who showcase talent. That wasn't doublespeak. That's true. My guest this particular week is somebody who showcases talent in the area and has done a fabulous job. He has really brought to the fore a lot of people who, have singing talent or writing talent or artistic talent. The list goes on and on. His name is Joe Ventura. He runs a very interesting business. He runs the Eden Cafe, which is in a town here called Loudonville, New York. But the actual title of his business is Eden Advisory Services and Cafe. Yes, he runs an investment counseling business and also a cafe that showcases talent. Kind of an interesting combination. Never heard of it before, and I've never seen anybody doing it. So we're going to be talking to him about it, how he got started, and some of the challenges that he has, along with everybody else right now, when you are running an entertainment venue. What do you do now because of the pandemic? How is he getting around that? I was also looking for free investment tips so I could become a millionaire and retire completely, but no, he's not giving that up. So without further ado, let's talk to Joe Ventura here on Top Talent. So this is the podcast. It's Top Talent, and I'm here with, now you correct me if I'm wrong with my introduction here, investment/life counselor. Does that work?
Well, sure. You can give me that title. If you like.
All right. I'm not done yet.
That'll work.
Cafe proprietor, musician, actor, because you've acted in many things, right? In college, sure. We're going to get
Still
to
good.
morning show host, which we just talked about. Friend, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Ventura, the Capital Region's own and beyond. It's really great to have you on here.
Thanks, Richie. I'm honored to be on your show.
Oh, I'm psyched to ask you all these questions. All right, we're going to start from the beginning, not prenatal, but I mean, we're going to start, from the beginning. Where did you grow up? I don't even know where you.
I grew up in Greenville, New York. Actually, I was born in Coxsackie, but when I was 6 months old, my family moved to Greenville, and I spent my entire childhood there.
Wow.
Greenville's about 30 miles south of Albany.
All right, I'm thinking Greenwich. Okay, Greenville.
Right. A lot of people confuse that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Opposite directions.
So you went to high school there. Well, it was
Greenville Central Schools.
Wow. So you're really local. And then you went to a college that I'm kind of familiar with.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, that's quite...
Of course, you graduated a little ahead of me.
We went to the big O, Oneonta. Yeah, I'm like 10 years behind you. So we'll do that math.
Were we on campus at the same time?
I got out of there in 75.
Oh, okay. I got in at 80, so.
Yeah, so we weren't there.
No, we missed each other by a few years.
Yeah. And I've been back there recently. Boy, Oneonta has changed. The campus has exploded. It's really, really great. I can imagine. Although with the problems with campuses right now, the colleges, which we're going to get into, the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. Did you?
Okay.
You majored in theater? No, was it?
Yeah, I have my Bachelor of Science in Theater.
And you acted in a lot of plays there and right on campus, right?
Every show I auditioned for, I got a part. I mean, my joke is I auditioned for the Japanese houseboy in the musical Mame up against two other Asian guys, and I got
And you got, which is a big thing today. You know, a lot of people are saying that, you know, as far as ethnicity goes, there are, like on cartoons, there are black actors in the cartoons that are voiced by white people, you know, which makes absolutely no sense, you know.
Well, yeah, we were looking for diversity. We got it.
That's right. We're really touching the controversial subjects. We're only 1 minute in, right?
Well, maybe we'll get more listeners, darn it.
Yeah, if we say something wrong. Right. Now, how did that swing from theater into investment counseling? You didn't get that from Oneonta.
In '84, I graduated, and I worked in the theater professionally for a few years, and then I was actually recruited into the investment business. And I'll be honest with you, when I got in the investment business, it was very natural for me. I was always very good with money as a kid, even though I'm an artist.
Yeah, exactly. Which they're notoriously
I was
bad.
always very good with money. I mean, of the family that I had, my two brothers were older than me. They always borrowed money from me. So I was always very good at keeping track of it. I enjoyed it. I remember watching my mom paying the bills, you know, with the old envelope system, and I was very intrigued by it. So I've always had an interest. It was a very natural thing for me to get recruited into the industry and then starting to show people how to build wealth themselves.
But your father was in a business. He was in the restaurant business, right?
He was in the restaurant business, and I grew up in the restaurant business. I think I started washing dishes at like 13 years old.
So I think you learn business that way too, because you see them come home from work and you see, oh my God, we only made $9 this week, or, you know, you see them.
Yeah, well, he didn't own his own restaurant. We always worked for other people. But in one scenario, my brother was the chef, my father did the bar, and I was the waiter. So, and we worked for somebody else, but it was like our own place.
Interesting. So while you're doing all the investment counseling afterwards, and that's how I originally met you, was through investment counseling. Right. But then you always had the bug in the back of your mind to get into the restaurant business via the cafe that we're going to talk about?
Well, because I grew up in the restaurant business, and the cafe, Eden Cafe, is really a combination of three things that I did and enjoyed. So we have the entertainment here at the cafe. That's the theater part of it. I grew up in the restaurant business, so I knew the restaurant business very well, right up into my 20s. And then, of course, the investment business, which I have done for now over 35 years. So I basically combined the three things that I've done in my life in one location.
But we really haven't explained to people who are, especially from out of the area, the business, because it's very, very unique. I call your business the reverse mullet. Now think about it.
Tell me why.
It's a reverse mullet because you're party in the front, business in the back.
Yeah.
That's a reverse mullet, right? I mean, and if you go into
I like that analogy. That's very good.
You go into his restaurant, well, his cafe. The cafe is in the front, and in the back is where you do the counseling. Is that the best description for it? Or?
Yeah, and you know, your word, you said it was unique. And you know, prior to 2014, this model was extremely unique. As a matter of fact, the only people that started doing it in 2014 was Mass Mutual created a cafe called Society for Grown-Ups. They did that out in Boston as an experiment. 10 baristas who were also 10 financial advisors. And then most recently, Capital One now has cafes inside their banks.
That's right. I've seen the ads for that.
It was unique prior to 2014, and then I opened in 2015. But that experiment by Mass Mutual doesn't exist anymore, but Capital One does exist. And now Merrill Lynch and Edward Jones has brought Starbucks into their lobbies to create traffic.
Because they want to make it more like an experience versus...
Yeah, I mean, the millennials, they don't want to do business the old way. They don't want to be called into an office and sit in a stuffy waiting room and then be crammed into some conference room. With the brass and the glass and the secretary out front. They're not looking for that. They'd much rather go to a cafe, and get a fantastic latte, and chat and have a relationship with the guy that's going to manage their money for the rest of their lives.
But I don't see you aggressively doing that. I thought when I first heard about your business that you're going to sit down, you're going to see some entertainment, and then you're going to come out for a half an hour and talk investments. But you don't you're
No.
not aggressive that way at all. You're hardly mentioning it at all when you're doing the.
I don't. I'm pretty quiet about it.
Yeah.
When they come in the store, they're going to see a sign up with one of the signs saying that we are investment counselors. They're going to see that it is included in all our advertising. Matter of fact, when you look up the cafe, it says Eden Advisory Services. And this is something that we had a lot of conversations about before we opened the cafe. And that is, how apparent do we become saying that we're a financial services company? And, I had a conversation actually with my brother. He's like, listen, Joe, you gotta say it up front. You're a financial services company,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to be in their face all the time.
Right.
People want your services and they see you're a financial services company. They're going to say, hey, I got a 401k that I want to talk to you about. We sometimes will mention it in the shows. Sometimes we don't mention it in the shows. Sometimes I mention it in my morning show in the mornings, and sometimes I don't mention it. So I'm pretty passive about it. I've done this for 35 years. They know we're a financial services company, and they'll engage in a conversation when they're ready for it.
Mm-hmm. And as far as
over 50% of our clients 50% of our clients in the advisory services were people that came in for a cup of coffee.
Gotcha. But let's talk about the entertainment part of it, because I really have to give you a lot of credit. I really thought about this in the shower right before going on here.
Well, thanks, Rick, for giving me all that quality time.
There's a visual, me in the shower.
Thinking about me.
Yeah, I'll edit this out later. But I really was thinking about, for years and years and years and years, I've played out in clubs, and so many entertainers in this area have played in clubs. But yours is different. When a club owner hires somebody 99% of the time here, you're not showcased. You're in the corner. You're playing like Muzak in a way. You're music in the club, but you're not really integrated into the entertainment of the club. You have done something very, very unique, and that when an entertainer is there, they are the center of attention. It's a quasi concert. It is a concert in there, and it's really, really great that you really get to show what you do. It's kind of scary. You'll finish a song, and everybody's staring at you like, "What's your next song?" Which you don't get in a bar.
Yeah.
But I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thank you. Well, before I knew what a listening room was, I had this concept.
Right.
I've actually built the cafe around my stage. Everything is focused around the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Everything faces the stage, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then about a year in, someone said, "Well, this is a listening room," and then I researched what a listening room was. And we really did find our niche, and that is to have a lot of entertainers that are singers, songwriters,
mm-hmm.
And or unique. Like your music is extremely unique. You're a piano bar guy. You're a comedian, and you're a great piano player and a great singer.
Oh, thank you.
All at the time. And that's what should be happening. The focus should be on that person. It shouldn't be, two guys sitting at the bar that've been sitting there since 3:00 in the afternoon, turning to you and saying, "Hey, would you turn it down, buddy? We're trying to have a conversation over here."
That's exactly right.
I think that's so, musicians get so much disrespect as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really appreciates the time and the effort that musicians put into their craft.
Darn right.
And then to have somebody say, "Hey, would you quiet down over there?" So I wanted it to be completely opposite. People come in for our shows. People have tickets. They have assigned seats.
Yeah.
I come out as the master of ceremonies. I introduce the artist. I build them up. I turn the show over to them. And people clap at the end of every song.
Yeah, you're right. They're very,
because
very
it's a
attentive.
show. And
Right.
I want the cafe to be like Little Vegas, basically.
Yeah, and it is. It really is. I've had several experiences there, and you did an incredible thing for me. To explain, Joe actually took a piece of, it's not plywood. What is it again?
Yeah, it was a big 8-foot sheet of plywood, 8x4 sheet of plywood.
And cut out the top of a piano, so it looks like a piano. We put it on top of like 4 high top tables, or 6 or 8 or whatever it is, chairs around it, and created a faux piano bar. And it's the coolest thing. And if you use that.
I can remember having this conversation with you, and you're like, "Can you bring in a grand piano?" And I'm like, Richie, I can't bring in a grand piano. And you and I are like brainstorming, and then all of a sudden I started grabbing a bunch of tables, those little round tables, and I put them together in the shape of a grand piano. And then I happened to have a black satin silk sheet. I threw it over the top, and I go, Richie, sit at the end. Tell me what this looks like.
It was great.
It looks like a piano.
I'm going to include a picture when I put this up there on Facebook to show what it looks like. It's really
so we basically took a 4x8 sheet of plywood. We cut it into the shape of a grand piano. We threw it on top of the tables. Yeah. And then you put your electronic keyboard at the end.
Right.
And if you remember, at one point, we even had a monitor underneath the piano.
Yes.
It sounded like the music was coming from inside this faux piano.
It really was great.
And you pulled it off, man. People loved sitting around that piano bar.
It really was a lot of fun. And it is true. There are clubs that'll say, oh, we have a piano bar, and I'll go in there, and it's a piano in a bar in the corner, back to the audience. That's not a piano bar. Piano bar is out of tune. Right. Exactly. Now, we haven't talked about the worst thing that's happened to this country and this world in a generation, the pandemic. And I've been concerned for your business. How has that changed the cafe? I mean, you've had to close, right?
The transition was difficult, but we have made the transition.
Really?
And, when you say it's been the worst thing that's happened to our country, I have to agree with a lot of that. But I also believe it in long run, it's probably going to be one of the best things that's ever happened for our country, because we had this 365, 24/7 society that we created. I actually started writing a self-help book many years ago. It was called Month of Sundays. And that was back when people understood that phrase. You and I are old enough where when someone says, oh, it was a great day, it was like a month of Sundays. And people be like, what? Nowadays, you say that to a millennial, you say, oh, it was a very relaxing day, it was like a month of Sundays. They'd be looking at you like, what the hell does that mean? A month of Sundays. Well, Sunday was a day off. It used to be a day off, right? There was blue laws in effect. There was, you had to get your gasoline on Saturday night. Sunday, right. The gas stations were closed, right? It was an actual recognized day of rest. And we haven't had a day of rest in a long time. But the pandemic has somewhat changed the rhythm.
Oh, it certainly has.
I think for the better.
Well, yeah.
People are becoming a little bit more reflective. They're starting to care, I think, a little bit more. But there's a lot of people frustrated out there, that's for sure. But I think long term that this switching of culture, this rhythm that has changed, is going to be a good thing.
You're listening to Top Talent. My guest is Joe Ventura from the Eden Cafe and Advisory Services business combination thing. And we'll be right back after this 20-second commercial reminder thing. All right, is everybody ready?
Yeah. Get the soap going, get the water flowing, front, back, wash your hands. Please, without fail, get underneath the nails, front, back, wash your hands. No time to be a cynic, it's a global pandemic. This little song is 20 seconds long, it's done, and so are your hands, they're clean.
And I'm working on a mask song. Let's continue the interview with Joe Ventura here on
Top Talent.
Now, how have you adapted? Okay, if I wanted to go there tonight, what are your hours and how are you working it?
Yeah, the first month I literally had nothing to do. I had a crossword puzzle. No, I had a puzzle on the bar that took me a couple days to put together. I actually was doing puzzles. Kind of like when you're at the camp and it's raining out.
Right.
You go swimming, so the puzzles come out. Exactly what happened for the first couple of days.
Well, I was thinking you're in two volatile businesses, because you're in the investment business with the economy and the restaurant business technically. So I'm sorry, keep going.
We had a lot of phone calls on the investment side of things.
Yeah.
But on the restaurant thing, side of things just died. And so, the first month in April was just, dead. And then I said, well, we got to do something about this. We got to get creative. We got to be innovative.
Mm-hmm.
We created a grocery store inside the cafe.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
All my product that's basically sitting on my back shelves and they moved it to the front shelf. So now people can get, while they're here, the few people that do come in, they can get restaurant quality foods at below box store prices. So we opened the grocery store. That helped the volume. One good thing that the New York State did is they allowed us taverns to now sell bottled wine. We could sell wine by the bottle. So it's your to-go alcohol, but it's in the bottle. So now I can compete with the essential liquor stores that are out there.
Nice. Very creative. That's a good idea.
Want to talk about the essential liquor stores.
I love that. How, the liquor stores, the only things that are allowed to be open. Yeah, they were very essential. And what's this new rule that you can't serve alcohol without serving food?
Yeah, the new rule is that they have to purchase food while having alcohol. The law, the mandate, or the whatever they're calling it, it doesn't say you have to eat the food,
right?
But it says you have to purchase food while you're drinking.
So you're not. Oh, okay.
So what I did was I lowered the price of my drinks, and then I raised it back up again to include the food.
Okay.
So they're getting free food, but it's not free food technically.
I got you. You didn't have to reveal that part.
If that doesn't work, we're just going to tell them that we're having a protest.
You're right. So are you selling Cuomo chips? Have you seen that?
Did you see that up in Saratoga?
Yeah.
Somebody thought quick. They said, okay, fine. I'll sell chips for $1. There's the food.
Yeah, there's the food. That went national. That was on CNN.
Americans do not like being told what to do.
Yeah. Now, to get even more controversial, what's your feeling about the masks?
The masks. I think that if a store requires you to have a mask, you need to put on a mask.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's the bottom line. If restaurants have the right, restaurants, stores, private business has the right, when you enter through that door, to create whatever rules they want. I mean, if Target said, no longer will people be able to come into our store unless they have underwear on their head.
Right.
That's their right to do so.
They can do that.
It's also a business owner's right to say, you don't have to wear one.
Correct. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, it should be their right.
It's both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So if an owner says you don't have to wear a mask here, you don't have to wear one. Or if an owner says, if you walk in here with a mask, we're going to tell you to take it off. That's how strongly I believe that a private business owner has the right of. Now, if the governor and the health department have created new rules that say, well, we're going to close you down if you don't make people wear masks, well, that's where the rubber's going to meet the road. And I don't think anybody's tested that one out. I mean, there's a few places in the country that have tested it out. But as far as I'm concerned we've all been watching the television set for months, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows you're supposed to wear a mask, right?
Yeah, and what percentage are fighting it?
So people should regulate themselves.
But they're not. They're not. Look at the
if
spike.
They're not, then the restaurant owner has the right to kick them out, right?
Right.
But the restaurant owner is not now the SS. They're not, as far as I'm concerned, forced to enforce.
Well, do you think you should take it one step further? During a time when everything was closed down, that a business has the right to remain open if they wanted to remain open?
Well, I always remained open because I'm essential on 3 levels.
Because you're the financial
grocery store.
Right.
I'm a financial services company, and I can sell wine, which is apparently essential.
So you can keep the doors open in general. Okay.
I kept my doors open, so I can't comment on people who were forced to shut their doors. I really don't know what decisions they made.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about on the entertainment side again? When can you hire people to come in there and play? And you can only have 50%
People
occupancy.
have been playing in here all during the pandemic. We've had people coming, like Pete Furlong's going to be here at 12 o'clock today. Dave Gallagher's going to be here on Wednesday at 5:30. David Frost comes in on Saturday at 5:30. So it's funny because I'm not familiar with a law that says people can't play music anymore. And it's funny because during the first month that this was going on, I had nothing to do. So I got up on the stage and I started practicing. I was
Right.
just playing.
Anybody
And I had
can,
the front door open, and somebody was standing in the door, like looking at me, like, "What's he doing in there?"
right.
I go, "Listen, folks, this is not the Twilight Zone version of Footloose. We can play music.
Right.
You're just not supposed to gather."
So, yeah, but we're at stage whatever 4. Now, what are we at now?
I don't know. We keep going back and forth from what I hear.
Right. But I thought the way I understood it, I thought you can have like 50% capacity. I'm thinking 50%
Yeah.
capacity in your place would be very
50%
small.
capacity, but they never said you can't play music anymore.
No. Okay. Right. Right. So these people
So
bring their
we
audiences?
kept playing music, and believe me, we didn't have large crowds in here before the pandemic. I mean,
No, right. It's a small place.
The joke here at Eden Cafe is we were practicing social distancing before the pandemic because we just never were at 50% capacity.
Right. Right. That's true. But you didn't care because that's the nature of the place. You wouldn't want that to be a big place because that's the beauty of it. It's an intimate
Right. It's a
destination.
listening room. It's designed for an intimate crowd.
Right. Right. Exactly. All right. I know I jump into subjects now. Let's get to the economy. What's your prediction for the economy? What do you think's gonna?
I think there's going to be a lot of instability prior to the election. I think that we are a consumer-driven economy, which means when consumers are confident, they spend money. And when they spend money, the economy does well. When they don't spend money, the economy doesn't do well. Now, the reason why we're seeing the stock market do fairly well, because there's a lot of money floating around out there, and people have changed their habits of spending.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean they're spending less money. But when the free money runs out,
Yeah.
you might see some decline. I still believe that we're probably going to see an adjustment
I think so too.
in the stock market again.
Oh, in the market? Yeah.
But I think after election, I don't know if it matters who gets elected. I just think after the election, people are going to be like, okay, this guy's the president now. Okay, at least there's one thing we do know. And they're going to feel a little bit more confident that, they know who it is.
But the only questionable thing is the pandemic, because the pandemic has thrown everything up in the air, including the economy. So if we have
The pandemic,
resurgence,
the riots.
right?
It all affected the economy. I think we're readjusting. It's gonna be a time of readjustment. Just like my volume, the first month it was like minimal.
Mm-hmm.
The next month I did some creative things and I doubled it.
Mm-hmm.
The next month I did even more creative things in my store and I doubled that again. So now my volume here in the shop is where my low months would have been during the year anyways.
Okay.
So we just become more innovative. It's forced us to become more innovative, and that's something Americans know how to do. Americans know how to be creative and innovative because we've been given the right of freedom. Doesn't
That's right.
happen everywhere.
Yeah, and I think we're so used to. I think that's the biggest problem with the mask issue is that this country, we've never been told what to do with anything. Right? We're just a free nation, free to go anywhere, free to do anything, and it's just a shock to everybody's
I don't really
system.
understand the mask thing in its entirety myself because I see people driving in cars by themselves with a mask on.
Yeah, you see that.
Not helping them.
Right. You see that,
I
and
don't
then
know. Does anybody have an answer to that question?
they're being overprotective in the car where you don't have to be, and underprotective where you're supposed to be. Right?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody really knows. Everybody's shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
And I understand that. We're all shooting in the dark. So, but you've got people that are getting dramatically angry at other people that are not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And you ask those people, say, well, when should I be wearing it? Well, when you have the possibility of being within 6 feet of somebody. And if someone says, okay, well, if I'm within 6 feet, I should wear my mask, right? Okay. Well, that's what I'll do. But I don't need to wear it in my car.
Right. Right.
I mean, I remember in the beginning driving around, I'd go to work every day. It was great. I felt like it was the apocalypse. There was no one on the road anymore. But the cars were social distancing from each other.
Yeah.
Literally. I swear. I think people were social distancing their cars.
Those are the CNN watchers, right?
Uh-oh.
Oh, and I'm one of them. I'm terrible. My Dory's like, turn it off. Yeah.
I used to enjoy CNN headline news.
Yeah.
Because with just headlines,
Yeah.
you couldn't get your agenda in there.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Now it's agenda all the time. If you don't have an agenda, you won't have any ratings, no matter what side you're on. You're right.
Right. Yeah.
Now, how about you? I know your son, Nick. Is
Yep.
he? You think he's going to be the next generation?
Cafe, I'm blessed.
Yeah, he's great.
My son work here with me, and actually, right now, my daughter's here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, how's she doing? She's
doing great. She is in the music industry. She had just moved to California, and guess what happened the month she moved to California? Pandemic. And they shut down all the music venues.
So she's here practicing.
She booked music venues. I mean, concerts all over the country.
Wow. Oh, I know the music industry in general is. Oh my God, terrible. So is this the daughter that just got married?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Yep.
And you have a grandchild, right?
I have a grandchild from my daughter in Texas. 2 grandchildren.
Nice.
Who I go visit very soon. And then my son gave me a grandchild as well.
Oh, that's right. He's got us.
So I have 3 now. I'm grandpa 3 times.
I'm grandpa 1. So we'll have to have a play date. We'll have to have a play date. And your wife's doing well.
Yeah.
Karen, that's great. Tell her I said hello as well. This is great to have you. I'm trying to think of how to wrap this up. We've talked about the economy. I'm just going through my list here. We talked about social distancing. We talked about.
So can I ask you a question for a wrap up?
Yes.
When are we going to see you live?
Oh man.
See, now that was a tough one.
I know. You know, I'm doing a piano bar on Facebook.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I know people are enjoying it.
I'm having a good time. It's weird. It's a very strange way of
because you get no reaction.
Well, I had that experience from radio, which was a shock to my system when I started radio too. Sure. You say something and there's nobody answering except the other person. You know, there's only one other person in the room. And there's nobody else in the room but me.
But when you're a comedian, you got to know when people are laughing and not laughing.
I know. Look at the late night shows. They've got to be.
How the heck?
I know. I don't understand how they do it.
So just to let you know, I'm dying to see Richie Phillips live.
Well, thank you.
Not virtually live, but live.
I'd like to do it again. Now, what happens when you do bring an audience in there? What's the total amount of people you're allowed to have? I know you know.
According to the government, I'm allowed to have half capacity, which has never been a problem.
Right, so half capacity, and there would be
pandemic, we only had 8 shows that were sold out. So there would have only been 8 times last year that it was actually a problem.
Okay. Okay. And do any of those folks broadcast on Facebook? They all do, right?
They all do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find that with musicians right now, they just don't want to come out. They don't want to take the risk.
That's me.
Yeah, and I respect that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm totally with you. Whatever someone's personal belief system is, I'm totally okay with. I have my opinion, but that doesn't mean I don't love them anymore.
No, it's right.
I'm not polarized when it comes to respecting other people's opinions.
Well, singing, they said, is singing is a danger, right? Singing in public. You know, they're canceling all these choirs and anything with singing involved where you're spewing particulates.
Yeah, I think that, it's whether you're spewing particulates or not, I think, as long as you're 6+ feet away from your spitting zone, nobody ever sits in the front row anyways.
Right.
Nobody, especially at comedy shows.
Right.
Nobody wants to sit. Here at the Eden Cafe, I would always put a front row in, and no one ever sat in
that's
that front row.
Well, because that's so close to the stage. Yeah.
Matter of fact, one night I did an experiment. I put in a front row, and I knew no one would sit there. And then right before the show started, I took away the row. So the people sitting in the second row were now in the first row.
So you get that's an
did I hear from those people?
That's an instant upgrade. You know how they do that in concerts? You did an instant upgrade. Right.
You're now in the mezzanine section.
Right. Well, how are you going to do a piano bar with 6 feet distancing? The piano bar, the beauty of a piano bar is sitting around the piano. You can't have them
Yeah, I mean, with
It
the
changes
piano
everything.
bar, if you were sitting at the end, the closest person would have to be 6 feet. So you'd have to just eliminate those first 2 seats,
Yeah.
your right and your left. That's it.
And have to sing with a mask on, which could be really tough.
Well, Governor Cuomo has his speeches without a mask on.
Yeah. Well,
Correct?
a lot of them do. Yeah, a lot of them do. They
He
can't.
takes the mask off, he has his speech, and then he puts the mask back on again, right? In the beginning, if you remember, he didn't even come in with the mask.
Right. That's true.
He does it now because people commented, "Why aren't you wearing a mask?" So I would say the governor's the role model, right?
That's a major point, that people follow the leaders. And I don't want to get involved in the next thing I was going to talk about, the certain leader that doesn't wear it no matter what.
Yeah, well, that's his personal choice, and we just have to respect that personal choice. And if we disagree with it, we can go to the ballot box and cast our vote.
But in the meantime, if you don't wear a mask and I don't wear a mask, nobody cares. I mean, you might get one person that don't care, but he is watched by millions and millions and millions of people.
So he has a
responsibility. Right.
And the question is whether or not his responsibility overrides his personal decision.
Right. Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah. So we're ending with a very controversial.
Who will determine that,
Right. We're ending with a very controversial subject. So it's a good place to end it.
That gets more people to listen.
That's right. Exactly.
You could put on the title "Most Controversial."
Right. So we got to tell everybody where your place is, because we haven't done that. Because
Sure.
This could be. I have cousins in California that listens and listen.
Great. We are located at 269 Osborne Road in Loudonville, which is a hamlet of Albany.
Right.
The famous place is right next door to Raymond's Restaurant. It's been there over 40 years. Joe Biden had lunch there last year.
Did he really?
He did. He had lunch right at the Raymond's. Yep.
Now, does the Raymond's? You have an area there for outdoor seating, right?
The Raymond's has outdoor seating. Yes.
Oh, yeah. You got to do that.
We're just so empty. We never have a problem with half capacity.
That's the beauty of it. It's quantity. It's quality, not quantity. All right.
People are genuinely scared to go out. So we're located in Loudonville, New York.
Right.
And us right next to the Raymond's, 269 Osborne Road.
And your Facebook morning show. How do you get to that?
It broadcasted on both the Joe Ventura page and the Eden Cafe page every morning, except for Wednesdays and Sundays at 7:45. And of course, you can see all the old broadcasts going back over 4 years on the video feed.
Oh, nice. And last but not least, but probably the most important, investment counseling. If somebody wants, to invest with you.
Been doing it for 35 years. We're a registered investment advisor in the state of New York. We've got over 100 families that work with us right now with over $15 million in assets. And we do estate planning, wills, healthcare proxies, powers of attorney. We clear our investments through TD Ameritrade. So we can give you the advice from years of experience, and you have access to every investment that is publicly traded.
Excellent. And is there a website for that?
Yes, EdenASC.com.
I'll write all this down and put it in the show notes.
Thank you, Ricky.
What they call that in
You're
the podcast.
You're a marketer, and I want to thank you for doing this broadcast, and you're really helping a lot of folks get recognized. Of course, we all know you from the radio days, and I'm so glad that you have picked up the torch and continue to run it.
Well, thank you very much. And Dory's really happy, too, because it keeps me out of her hair. So say hi to Karen. Say hi to your whole family. And
I will.
Joe Ventura, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
All right, Richie. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for stopping in. I'll put the links to the addresses that he mentioned in the show notes for this podcast so you can keep in touch with Joe. And please go visit the Eden Cafe once everything reopens, because it's a fabulous place, really. It's very unique. Once again, I'd love you to hear the new parody and video that I put together. It's on my Facebook page at Richie Phillips, Richie with 2 L's in Phillips. The parody is about a certain doctor. I won't tell you who it is, but it rhymes with grouchy. Rhymes with grouchy. And also, you can go to my website, which is
HIRERICHIE.com.
That's HireRichie.com.
He is on Facebook at Ricky Phillips and Twitter at Ryman Richie. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe and leave a comment. He reads them in bed. It makes him very happy.
Take it